Midlothian, Texas. Live at the Seaman City Chatter podcast, coming to you from the Opoka Palace. To my right, as always, Mr. John Opoka. How you doing?
I'm good.
To my left, the one, the only Tiffany. What's going on?
By one name only.
Hot and fresh, straight out of yoga.
I know. I've already apologized to everybody. I'm sorry. This is the smell of work.
Maybe not so
We
much
should do.
fresh.
We should do a remix straight out of yoga.
Fresh.
Across from me is the man who needs no introduction.
And
The
usually
guy
gets
who
none.
runs Midlothian streets in a Tesla with his hair blowing in the wind.
No. He goes to see Dustin.
Midlothian's
It's
most
all
beautiful, Tim Wilkins.
coiffed.
I tell you what, man, I never deserve the,
I'm getting
the
good at
magnificent
this.
intros you give me.
I got to work on some new material though, because I feel like you ever like do something over and over again and you feel like you're just repeating old material just in a different way.
It never
That's
gets
kind
old.
of that's the point I'm getting
listening
to.
to you never gets old, Rob.
Hello, Midlothian, the #1 podcast in Ellis County, documented.
Verified.
Yeah.
Proven.
It's on Wikipedia.
Is it really?
So what's
It
going on?
will be by the end of the night.
Get busy on that.
Hold on.
She's doing it now.
Yeah.
Man, we got some interesting things to talk about tonight, from what I understand,
Okay, so
or
this
from what I don't understand.
right. So we're breaking from our normal Thursday night recording schedule.
But we're still coming back Thursday, right?
Oh yeah, we'll be here
Okay.
Thursday, and we have a
Exclusive?
A,
I mean-
a great family joining us, the Nickel family. Their son is challenged in some ways, and they're gonna kind of clue us into what he deals with, and how the community can relate and work with people who have struggles. But tonight, we have got some urgent things going on in our community. And, we like to screw around here and have fun, but these are actually serious issues. So,
Nobody's dying.
Yeah,
No.
well, not that serious.
No.
I want to point that out.
But
Somebody's giving a eulogy over here.
Nevertheless-
these do
nevertheless,
affect
things
the
that
quality,
affect.
the quality, the quality of life in Midlothian.
Sure does.
And that is mud and cars. And wait, what? Yeah, okay.
Mud?
So mud is actually an acronym. It stands
For?
for Municipal Utility District.
Okay.
Okay.
What do
And,
they do?
That's what we're
we're
gonna.
gonna
That's
get
what
to.
we're here for.
Okay,
Yeah,
so-
we're gonna
so,
explain that. 'cause
in other words-
these are
Okay.
well, these are complicated issues, and we have someone with us who can explain it in a way that hopefully most people can understand, and we want people to get moving, calling Austin to have certain changes made to protect our
Yeah,
community.
because we only get every 2 years.
Right.
You don't
Right.
get
Now-
you don't get anybody tomorrow.
Well,
Or next year.
you got Mike Rogers sitting
Yeah,
right
who
here,
do
so
we
it must
have?
be important.
We've got
No,
Mike
no.
Rogers here. We have Mike Rogers here, and through his
Mr. Rogers even. Where's your
You got that
sweater?
right. Well, we'll work
Won't
that out
you
later.
be
I'm
my
gonna work
neighbor?
that
I
out.
had all the kids in school believing Mr. Rogers was my dad.
Oh,
so
there you
they thought
go.
I was really cool when I told them that.
right. So through his work on PNZ, he has a lot of information regarding what's going on and why people that live in the city of Midlothian might not like what's going on. The other thing is cars, and it's citizens against. I don't remember what that is actually.
Citizens advocating for roadway safety.
Roadway safety, advocating for roadway safety, right? But that effectively, we had a committee that a few years ago is responsible for. Has it been decades now?
It's like 20
It's actually
years.
the late 90s. I think
Oh,
that
you're
finally got done
right,
in
you're
99.
right.
It seems like yesterday.
Okay, yeah, all right.
So,
I am that old. I like lose entire decades. So yeah, a couple decades ago, got involved and got us what we call the 287 bypass. Back in the early 90s, say. If you were coming from Mansfield down to Waxahachie, you drove down
Scarborough Fair.
Main Street.
Every
Yeah.
stoplight and stop sign.
Yep,
That four-way
you drove
stop.
down what is now Main Street, or we call it 287 Business, Business 287. But that was the road through town. That 287 bypass is what goes up the hill, past Harvest Hill Church and
Yeah.
Discount Tire and all that.
That's
and,
what I call off the highway.
Yeah, exactly.
Off the highway is anything from The police station through the bypass past Sonic Barbecue.
Right. So decades ago, we had a committee that got us that, and they have re-energized the committee, brought some of the original people back, and are involving as many people as possible to make some changes to the existing 287, and we'll talk about that. But first, the most urgent of the two is the mud. So, Mike, can you just kind of tell us
An elevator.
Yeah. The talk slow for Rob, so
Please.
he'll understand
Rob's
what.
quick. I caught that the last time. Rob is quick. Folks, I do thank the group here for having me back on. I did reach out to Tim here a few days ago and said, hey, we've got a big ticket item here that we need to talk about. It's a hot button.
Hot.
And it is hot. Folks, you may be seeing a little bit on Facebook about these things they're calling muds. And we're not talking about making mud pies or slinging mud. This is
But it's just equally as bad as
this-
slinging mud.
And I want everybody to listen that watches this podcast closely. This isn't just about cities. This is about the entire county of Ellis County. So what a MUD is it's a municipal utility district. And what this is to kind of give you a geographical location so you can hone in on it. Most Midlothian residents know where 663 tees into 875.
Right, down by Highview Ranch.
That's right. And
75% of us live down
when
there.
you sit at that stop sign, you can look kind of angled off there to I guess that's the southeast, and you will see the big white barns and white houses there. That is Highview Ranch. That's about a 20.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw some wild numbers out there. That's roughly, I've heard as little as 2,750 acres because Camp Hobblesell kept a little bit of it. I think it was originally 3,300 acres.
36. What was like? I saw it when it was for sale, and I actually started to raise the
You were
money
gonna
to
buy
buy
it.
Yeah, it sold for $15 million. It was listed for
You
18.
should have bought it.
I'm look. Yeah,
I mean, you and Tiff, the things y'all could have done with that.
Rob, just write a check for it.
Why didn't? Yeah.
We're just going to build
Yeah.
a new city on it.
Just think the kind of podcast you could have out
Tim,
there.
I've always told you if you've got money problems, just call me.
all right. I'll remember next time.
So what's happened here, folks, is that these MUDs started evolving and have been in use down around the Houston area. There's been a few in San Antonio area, but it's very common in the Houston area. What it allows to package this into a small format and make it quick, this is a way to provide high density housing in the county.
Oh,
Okay.
which is exactly the antithesis of the county.
Exactly. So I'm going to package this into something that will make sense real quick. How serious this is.
well, you've already got my attention.
Oh, it's going to get real serious.
To
in a
clarify
minute.
one thing, that like without the mud, the thing that keeps municipal districts or that keeps high density housing out of the county area is the requirement for septic, and it's a minimum of 1 acre
That
to be
is
on
correct.
septic.
That
Is
is
that
And
gonna-
that's a state requirement.
Will that bring in HUD housing too?
Well, I can't go into that. I don't know. I do know that what's going to happen is that we're going to roll into it real quick here in a minute, but let me put this into a package that's going to make sense real quick.
Okay.
Midlothian is 65 square miles, and Midlothian has about 40,000 residents.
right.
40 to 45. We're going to say 40. So 65 square miles is going to be a little over 41,000, about 41,600 acres. And this particular subdivision, or will be this property that is, Midlothian's 41,600 acres. This property's around 3,000. They want to put 8,500 homes and 3,000 rental properties and apartment base on this 3,000 acres.
And apartments, you said?
And apartments. And when
That's
this is
interesting.
done, this will basically be as small as 50-foot wide lots.
That's
In
a third of an acre without with
Okay.
just the homes.
well, let me let you in on this.
So zero lot line.
So Midlothian has 40,000 residents and roughly 41,000 acres. This development is going to put roughly 35 to 40,000 residents on 3,000 acres. Let that settle in for a
No, which means you're building homes that are just what 1,500 square
Well,
foot home.
my last house in Grand Prairie was 2,500 square feet on a tenth of an acre.
I mean, I have a lot of responses
But-
to that.
well, okay,
and,
but
and I wouldn't even know where to
Several
start.
things, like one, the building requirements in the county are much different than the building requirements in the city. You don't have even the 10th of the inspection process that you have in the city when you're building in the county. So you're building quick, cheap, whatever you want, and getting it up and out to consumers as quickly as possible. And when you're talking about high density, you're also talking about quick, cheap apartments. So what does quick, cheap apartments bring?
The wrong kind.
Yeah.
But then you have to consider, because this has been implanted outside of our city limits where the roadway infrastructure definitely isn't in place, you have to start questioning emergency services. They're not fully in place. Then you have to start asking, well, how are they going to get their emergency services, which obviously that'll be placed. They'll have a proportionality of their county taxes as regular county residents do, but you have to ask, are they going to be able to handle that kind of volume? And then on top of that, you've got the road problems. That's implanted on farm to market.
So that's all those thousands of people driving up a combination of 663 and 157 through Venus.
I figure they're
And
going to go
875.
875 to 135 at Waxahachie.
Waxahachie.
So,
I mean, let's just talk about Midlothian,
Exactly.
663 right there. You've already got
2-lane roads.
Oh,
They're all 2 lanes.
man.
So on top of, so let's take out the social aspect, because you were saying cheap apartments bring the wrong kind. I'm not even
And
looking at it
maybe
like that.
maybe-
I'm not even talking about the people. I'm talking
maybe we
about
get
the
lucky
longevity. Yeah, maybe we get lucky. Maybe
It's
it
just
doesn't
all
matter.
the cast of The Chosen.
It's the-
No,
Yeah,
it's not
the
going to work.
chosen-
You build
well-
cheap houses with our property values. You're going to have
let's not even talk about that.
8,500 homes with 4,000 foreclosed in the first 5 years.
Well, okay, there's that. But let's not even talk about that. Let's talk about what do the longevity of those homes look like. So let's say that you've got some great families that move in there, and they are starter homes or they're retirement homes for them, and they are taking care of them. But what is the longevity of a home that is shoddily built? You're going to have roads crumbling, houses not collapsing, but like falling apart, and then people are going to be like, why my home's not worth what I owe?
Just look at the difference between, I'll say, Crystal Forest and Jordan Run. Okay?
Oh, yeah, look at Jordan Run.
Same developers.
Yep.
Same builders. Same exact people involved in building the homes.
Yep.
And the roads are just ridiculous.
Well-
they're literally like going sideways, diagonal. There's massive erosion problems.
There's nobody to enforce things like, I don't know, overgrown grass, which to some people is okay, but then when you get country rodents
you
in
can
them,
still get an HOA out there in the
You could.
in the
You
yeah,
could.
but you know what? There's a lot of issues that come with this, and there's a lot of issues that pertain to each individual's personal, opinions of what it could bring. But the reality of it is just the problems that it brings for, like you said, the roads and just the infrastructure itself is a problem. Now, everybody's opinion on what that would do to Midlothian, who it would bring to Midlothian, the quality of what it would do to the different property values. I mean, we can all have our opinions on that, and I'd certainly have mine. And I'm certainly not willing to go too deep into it on this podcast, but I mean, just look at other areas and other towns. I mean, didn't you say you were a DeSoto guy? Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know, man.
Well,
We
So
moved
what
out
happened
here
to-
for a reason.
what we do know, we don't know what kind of houses they're going to build. We do know that the name of this subdivision, if folks wanted to look it up, is Highland Lakes. I've taken the time to message this article to you. It looks nice. They're going to put in a large
It always
lake.
does.
It looks nice, but we know without city oversight on building standards and whatnot, what will you really get? We don't really know. So then the next question comes into play now that we've discussed a little bit of the complexity and the depth of the issue. Let's talk about why this is happening.
wait, and can I pause
Go
you there
ahead.
for a hot second? So this is a mud, but can you explain a quick, like, 2-sentence difference between this and a SUD? Because we have a SUD in Midlothian, And I don't want people to get them mixed up because one's high up where people
Well,
can
we've
read
got
it.
several SUDs, actually.
Yes, we do.
Mountain Peak, Sardis
Sardis.
Sloan M, Rocket Special Utility District. SUDs give...
These are just, it's a different utility district. And
They give water providers the ability, and we've got a little bit of echo going on, but he's working on it. That's better. There we go. Well, it's all cleared up. SUDs provide water providers the ability to get federal loans and whatnot. And of course, once those federal loans are locked in, there's not a whole lot you can do to interrupt that.
So is this
Yeah,
a
I
done
know.
deal?
well, okay, no,
Well,
we were just talking about a
it's not
difference
done
here.
yet.
Yeah, we were talking about something different.
These are the
Okay,
SUDs.
so
Yeah.
if you think of a
Mountain Peak is a SUD, right?
Yep, Mountain Peak,
but
Sardis
it's
Sloan
up
M.
on the thing, so I want to.
Sardis.
So if you think of a special utility district, which is for water,
Right.
a municipal utility district, think about those words and what they mean. Municipal utility district. So you could use a SUD within your needs, which more than likely they will at Highview, or better yet, it's called Highland Lakes. They're probably going to use a format or a lot of Mountain Peak Water Utility District, Special Utility District. But a MUD provides for the other balance of infrastructure that they need, mainly sewer and their own lift stations and how they're going to handle that. And that is awarded through TCEQ. That is your Texas Commission of Environmental Quality. That is basically the state level of the EPA, would be an easy way of looking at it. And so I've kind of done a little definition here that I've pulled offline that'll kind of explain it. A MUD is a political subdivision authorized by the TCEQ to provide water, sewage, drainage, and other utility-related services within the MUD boundary. So that's done through the state.
Right.
So therefore you say, well, okay, so is it too late? What are we going to do about this? That's why we're having this podcast. There are a couple, there's just a couple because this is happening very quickly. And let me mention one other thing for the folks in Ellis County abroad to understand the seriousness of this. There are 23 of these MUDs trying to get started in Ellis County right now. It's one of the heaviest counties to get hit. It has a lot to do with the geographical location of
Who's
our
driving
highway.
it though?
Big money.
Okay.
It's ways to make money.
Well, so Ellis
It's
County.
developers.
Yeah, Ellis County is close to DFW. We're kind of the outer edge of DFW. So we still have the rural lands where MUDs can be applied, but we're close enough to DFW to get the number of people that want to commute from
So
here.
is it a group of developers that come together to
No,
do this? or-
it's big money.
And
Big,
Highview was
big.
purchased by one
Yeah.
developer out of, I think it was California.
So it's big money coming in, and
So they're trying to California or
big,
Texas?
large development side.
Yeah.
I think it lists that out in the article. This Highland Lakes article. I've provided it for you. Y'all might want to think about providing the article. I've done it. I don't
Yeah,
know if
let's,
it'll
put
come-
let's put it in
We'll
the
link
comments here.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll come through.
Okay, I'm going to do that thing where I point. And it's down in the
It's still trying to send, but,
description.
That's fine.
We'll
Oh,
get-
it's because he's not on the Wi-Fi
Oh yeah.
in a metal building. It's a big Faraday cage.
Right.
So
is.
let's talk about what's available
Nerd.
out there so far, so the folks will know, and that way we won't get into an hour and 15-minute podcast
Again.
So what is available on Facebook for the folks to link up to is there is one Midlothian Facebook page called No Mudslinging Midlothian,
No mudslinging.
That is
Midlothian.
correct.
I'm just
Okay.
gonna go
and on that page, folks,
We will link that.
on that page, I have made a post that has all the listings of all of the legislators that are our immediate Ellis County legislators.
Okay.
And then an extension past that that's even as or more important that includes all the legislators that are on the committee
Rob's already joined it.
that are
I think I'm already a part of it. I think Mike stuck me in there
No,
earlier this
there
week.
was two. I got Facebook notification this past week. Two different groups that you
Yes.
invited me to.
Yes. So I probably invited you to CARS, which we're going to talk about that. in a
Yep, I
minute.
got an invite from.
So there is a list which also includes the legislators that are on the committee
Okay.
that will hear this information. So Folks, if you want to know what you can do,
And that's Brian, and
the other gentleman's name, I can't get to my internet.
so there's
he's
Brian
on-
Birdwell and Brian Harrison.
Exactly.
They're on the committee,
well,
or they just are representatives?
No, they're committee.
There are, and there are
both.
reps.
Yeah, the both.
You got a Senate
Yeah.
side and a House side. But,
Right.
But I want to add that there's a whole list of other folks down there that are probably as much or more important, that a lot of those folks aren't going to be from within our Ellis County and are going to be hearing this information. Here's our only hope at this point, as I see the immediate hope, is that somehow we get a bill through the Senate within this meeting that we, like you said, we only meet once every 2 years, and it'll be done, folks, at the end of May.
But
Right.
But there's something even more.
Has there already been something?
There's already
been
two bills on
filed? Okay.
going right now.
I was like,
There's-
because the deadline to file was March 10th.
there's two bills, but here's the issue, as I understand it from talking with folks that deal down there all the time. They've mentioned that within those two bills, there could potentially need to be additions and amendments made thereof.
Okay.
And the problem is the way that works down there at the state level, you know, the House hears it and then they boot it to the Senate and they boot it back. No, we don't like it. And it goes into committee and it's like a ping pong ball machine.
Yeah.
So within all that, they want to try to possibly get amendments in it and whatnot also. So that's only going to happen probably if they fit all that into this time frame. We probably really only have a couple of weeks
It's between now and
to
June.
be on the phone
Yeah.
wearing their offices out.
Right.
So I would highly encourage Midlothian residents, Ellis County residents. There's 23 of these across the county
Yeah.
trying to come in. Some are real small. Some might only have 4,000 or 5,000 residents. For instance, there is another Facebook page that's probably kind of the original on this. That's Citizens Against Ellis County Muds. It's actually called the Shankle Road.
I just joined that one.
I don't make up the roads. I just report it. But
just the facts. Just
but
the
that's
facts.
on the Ennis side. That's on the east side, and that's probably going to be one of the first muds that could possibly bump on into place and start happening.
What?
Okay.
It's for those of us that will research and dig into, which there are a few of us, but that will.
You will.
I know I will. There's a reason I'm asking this question. It's really for me, but if anybody else benefits from it, then awesome. What committee? What is the committee name that I need to look at? Because you can go to house.texas.gov and type in the committee name and
Right.
see everybody's.
It's on that list. If you go into No Mudslinging Midlothian
okay.
and look, you'll see where I've made a post.
Yep, I see
and
it.
it's a long list, and about you and on down,
Boop, boop,
you'll
boop.
see it's something
Senate,
agriculture.
Yeah.
Texas Senate
And
Committee
again,
on
we'll
Water
link this
Agriculture.
in the
Yes.
YouTube.
Texas Senate on water, agriculture, and rural. Oh, I hate that word. Tell
Rural?
me you're from
Say that
Texas
3
without
times.
saying you're from Texas. Jail cell. Rural
Rural.
affairs. Rural.
Just say it Texas way.
And after all that,
Rural.
she doesn't make it up with her mouth skills either.
Man. Gosh.
Say you're from Texas without saying you're from Texas. Rural.
This isn't a dog show. Let's move along.
Okay. So if we wanted to go down and start blowing people up, you have given us the
I've
names
given
here.
you got
Right.
everything
And-
there you need. You got
And
phone
so
numbers, you got
What
email
we're-
address.
Yeah, so what we're looking for is people to get involved
That's right.
and contact those
That's
people.
right.
And what do we want them to say, though? Seriously.
Well, we need to call down there
Just
and-
no
and-
muds or what?
I mean, do you want muds? I mean, I'm calling and I'm saying let's talk about these muds. I don't want muds.
Okay.
So
here's what we need.
understand,
Let me go back
but
to
you're
that.
spearheading this. What is the average person like myself and everybody listening? How do we
I got
contribute?
that. The way you contribute is you call, and I'm going to tell you what we need, and that's what these bills are calling on. What we need is some format of oversight. And because these muds, municipal utility districts, are not going to fall in the city, somebody has to have oversight. Just let me tell you what we do in a city. A developer comes to us. There's ag zoned land, and he says, "Hey, I want to build this subdivision that's going to have 40,000 people on it." And we say, "Oh, wait a minute. Let's talk about how you're going to do that. How are you going to get the water in there? We don't have sewer there yet. Are your lots big enough? What are we going to do about the roads? What about, we don't really worry about schools, but schools is a part of that on the flip side. So we need a way for that same format to happen on the county side, which is what these bills are about, so that the county instead of these folks applying through TCEQ, which is stateside, that these developers would apply through the county just like they do a city, and then the county commissioners court can review, and we can go down to the commissioners court at like a person like yourself, Rob, and say, hey, wait a minute. Just like Tiffany does with folks at council.
Yeah.
I don't want that. So, I mean, she says, hey, guys. I mean, she's really a lot nicer than that.
I try to be nice,
She is
unless
very
she really
nice.
makes me mad.
I've been around. I've never seen Tiffany mean, but
Oh, no, not to you. I've never.
never.
But at least she speaks her mind. I mean, she,
Oh, yeah.
she Tiffany has the right to complain
Oh, yeah.
because she does her homework. But
I've seen her mad, but then again, I'm basically family.
She
So.
doesn't hold a grudge.
You guys fight like husband and wife.
So, folks,
Brother and sister.
I'll take brother and sister.
folks want to know what to do. What are they going to say to their these representatives when they get a hold of them? They're going to say, look, we need some form of oversight. Don't leave us out here hanging. We live on these farm-to-market roads. We live in cities that this is going to be feeding through the middle of.
Yeah.
And then they've got a choice, these legislators, to decide whether this is going to act retroactively or how far. See, there's some of these already rolling forward, so there's a lot of decisions here that have to be made.
Well, you know, one concern I have. So, you know, on social media, you get the OG Midlothian people, and they want to talk about how much they hate that everybody's moving here, and Midlothian's too big. I tell you what, if you're the type of person that is upset that they built Rosebud, that they built Lawson Farms, that they built Fox Run, that sort of thing, if you think that's bad, you need to already be picking up the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
If you've
put your
ever-
money where your
beyond.
mouth is. Like, I don't want to hear, you know, like old guard Midlothian complaining about this little tip of the iceberg when they're just ignoring this gigantic thing down south.
If you've never lived in an unregulated part of the county, I have. I sure as heck have, and I have seen.
Was that when you were out in Alvarado?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have seen the tin cans that get rolled in and falling apart real quick because whoever had a great job when they bought it suddenly lost their job and can't take care of it, and such got hurt, and this and that and this. The things that happen in regular everyday life that aren't just negligence magnify when the house is not built to a quality standard.
And let me mention one other thing. There are 3 of these MUDs in Midlothian ETJ alone. 3. Now,
Which means
Now,
our fire and police have to take care of it.
For our listeners that
the way
don't know
that
what that
currently,
is.
if you remember, we tried to do something.
I
like
remember-
that several
I
years
do
ago on
remember
Roadway,
about that.
and I was part of that.
But,
do remember
but
that.
for people who don't know what ETJ is, that's our extraterritorial jurisdiction, which is a bunch of big words for the city has complete
boundaries.
control up to the city limits, but then there's this kind of like
Gray
area
area.
that goes, is it 2 miles out?
It's about a mile and a half.
mile and a
2
half.
miles.
Yeah, it's just out from the city limits that we have
buffer zone.
some. Yeah, we have
Yeah, a
some
little bit.
control over.
Especially platting.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this, there is about 800 acres of this Highland Lakes that is in the Midlothian city limits. So we'll have some control of that. But when you're talking 800 acres out of right at 3,000, it's not a lot.
Yeah, when you're talking about ETJ, you're talking about Shiloh Forest, you're talking about
Yes.
Jordan Run, you're talking about that kind of stuff. That's all ETJ. But so that's
Is
going
that
to be
what you
even
call?
more.
Is that what you call me?
I don't call you ETJ.
No.
I mean that's the technical term for where you live.
Right.
But no, I don't say that.
Of course, then there is one other thing to think about. And we don't know that this would happen, but it always makes. They have been doing some of these down around Houston for a while. How many years? I want to say.
Well,
5
so
years
Houston. Okay, that's not a great example of how to make something work. Like Houston, no, seriously, no. Houston, the way they handle real estate down there is different than the rest of the state. Their HOAs have powers that rival cities in that regard. They don't have they don't have zoning down there. Everything's handled at a lower level than the city. I don't know all
I
the
don't know.
details.
I want to
but-
be in Houston. It
but-
stinks, literally
right.
and figuratively.
No, that's fair, but like they don't have zoning. Let me put it that way. Okay, so everything's handled via HOA, and that's why when you're going through certain areas of Houston, you can have like a really densely packed neighborhood, and then there's like
McMansions.
Well, no, but no. Then there's like a commercial building right in the middle of a neighborhood.
Understood, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so in your post on No Mudslinging Midlothian, you list Ellis County reps and senators. So Representative Brian Harrison.
I believe Brian Harrison's going to be fighting this. Senator
I'm
Birdwell's going
sure
to
he
be
was.
fighting this.
So-
Now, there is one other one on the, I believe he's on the Ennis side.
How
Mr.
could-
Hall, is that right?
Yeah, so
I
it's
think
Bob Hall.
Bob Hall, I believe.
Bob Hall. Okay.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
he's really big into private property owner rights. And I
But-
think this is a private property owner right.
On Brian Harrison's email, you've got Maurice.Osborne.
And Cassie Hoyer.
Is Maurice
Isn't he a
Osborne?
freshman?
Maurice is a rep for Brian.
Yeah, isn't he a freshman
Oh, okay.
representative, though?
Yes.
Okay. And these other guys are seasoned.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. All right. But
So
they
just
aren't.
start
they,
calling them all.
Well, I'm going to
okay.
tell you, I think we're going to have better luck on the Ellis County side of having some support. I would
has to
recommend.
be
Which
like
would
committee
be
first,
which
though,
would be
right?
Brian
Pardon?
Harrison.
Pardon?
It-
Yeah, Brian,
Brian
Senator
and
Birdwell,
Birdwell.
Mr.
Okay.
Hall.
Yeah.
But then we want to float. Don't give up there and say, well, I caught the folks that are really going to have a presence here that we need to get a hold of are the folks that are on the committee
Yeah.
that aren't even part of our
So
county that
let's
are
have
hearing this.
Let's have a
Right.
civics lesson real quick
I'll
about
call
how.
Trump if I gotta.
Well, that ain't going to help you here. Okay, so let's have a quick Texas state civics lesson. So Texas is a limited government state, which means that our legislature only meets every other year. It means that that if it fails now, the governor has to have like a special session. He had 3 last time for various things. Or it just goes away until the next session in 2 years. They meet from January to June, and anything after that has to be a duly called special session. Everything starts in committee though. So if it fails in committee, Harrison and Birdwell and Hall are not going to be of any use to us, not because they are useless, but because it didn't get to their desk yet. So these people in the committee are the ones that are going to be the first line of shooting it down or making the appropriate changes so that Birdwell and Harrison and Hall can support or defend what we need them to do. So because it's early enough, would you say committee
It's tight.
first?
We got about a week and a half to just be flooding these guys with calls.
And
it's the
they
only way
answer
it's
him.
going to work. If you think you're just going to call your county rep and say, hey, I don't like this, and going about your life, it's not going to work, folks. What you had better get aggressive and act, and I don't mean aggressive and we got to be kind.
Do we know
but-
if there's any trips down to Austin for this anytime soon?
I don't know about that. I'm hoping that one of these groups, I'm hoping, honestly, that what I've asked and I'm hoping is somehow the county or some organizational guru would take this and be able to put all these subgroups together for one common voice. That's what really needs to happen. But we really don't have a lot of time. So
Yeah.
we've got to get on the phone and call.
Yeah,
That's
that's
what
the
I can
biggest
say.
thing.
That's the
Yeah.
biggest thing, because here's the bottom line. We got a couple of weeks to get that done. And here it kind of goes hand in hand with the forced annexation. It took them, I'm thinking.
Well, now I'm triggered.
Sir?
Now I'm triggered.
He was
Well,
annexed.
I'm thinking it took 2 legislative sessions to get that totally done. They did like a 500,000
Right.
county first. Well, here's
Oh,
the
yeah.
deal.
There's one with a big asterisk.
This is
Yeah.
what has me concerned is if we don't really slam them and get this done this time somehow, this could roll on 2 more years, and then these first biggies are like going,
Yeah,
and then what? We got a mess on our
right.
hands.
They'll be grandfathered
so
in.
we got to do it now.
Yeah.
And that's what I was getting at when I was saying let's go back to middle school and talk about what a limited government means. It means if you don't win this time, that you're sitting on the sidelines for 2 years watching
right.
everything go by you.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions on that?
No, I think we covered it pretty
Let's
well.
talk about cars.
Okay, we're switching subjects.
This is a good.
Yeah.
This is a better subject.
Okay, this is something that is not as urgent. It's certainly important because remember earlier you said like I'm reading a obituary or something like that. This is an issue where there are
There could be,
there
there are
are
obituaries.
already dead people.
Yeah, I know. And severely injured people. So the history of cars, I got a cool little history lesson from one of our OGs, Miss Paula Baucom.
Oh, yes. She was on the original committee.
She was.
One of
and
our great servants of this community.
She told me that she stepped down from city council. If I remember, we had a very long conversation with her. It's been several years, but she said that her and several other OG people in Midlothian, they were organizing meetings in living rooms, and she would make lasagna for dozens of people and bring, and everybody would have potlucks, and they would just sit around, and it wasn't like just a big like hoo like kumbaya, but it was, they would discuss how to mobilize and get this real grassroots stuff.
Right. It was called the 287 corridor.
Yeah.
And they got the bypass.
The plaque hangs in City Hall with all their names on it.
That's right. Yep.
Now, how long did that take?
Oh, gosh.
It was a year or two, right?
At least.
Just to get it passed, but then the construction and all that other stuff is different.
Yeah, and there was a lot of background going on. A lot of lobbying is the best way to put it. Yeah. And, of course, you've got to gather some revenue. Because here's the biggest constraint, is the state wants to do these studies, and then the state's they have good intentions, but to get the money together for that and get that rolling,
I'll believe you that they have good
time.
intentions, but TxDOT is one of the slowest.
Well, let me give you an example of how this started.
254 counties, Tim.
Yeah, right.
The way all this started is there were some folks who were at a TxDOT meeting about 4 weeks ago. And TxDOT let it. Were you at that meeting? Okay, that's surprising.
Well, was that the 1387 meeting?
No, sir. That was the one. It was a workshop at council chambers.
Okay.
I did see a workshop come through, and I have been extremely busy.
Well, I can't believe you weren't there. But they had TxDOT was there.
Okay.
And TxDOT, and I'm going to paraphrase real quick because we're pushing up on 25 minutes here at least.
Yeah, we got time. Go ahead.
We
We
don't
want to
wear
get this
these
done.
people out.
Yeah.
So
We'll put chapters in, even if I have to do it.
TxDOT said that they were going to be till about 2035 getting our service roads done. And like people were like, seriously? So council pushed on them a little bit, and they said,
My grandkids that I don't have will be driving by that point.
exactly. Well, I think they'll have already replaced the paving 3 or 4 times by then. But
we won't need paving
Yeah,
because where we're going, we won't need roads at that
We
point.
won't need roads. Yeah.
self-driven vehicles.
Yeah.
So at that point, they then said, well, we could maybe do the studies in 28. And so folks thought, well, man, that's going to be like
What
32.
year is it?
Still 5 years from now.
So some folks got up out of that meeting and said, this isn't going to work. And got with some folks that used to be on the old committee. And, well, how are we going to fix this? And they said, well, we just need to do the same thing we did with the bypass.
It worked before.
And we
Let's
said, well,
try
what are
it
you
again.
talking about? And they said, well, we got the bypass done with a side committee that wasn't political, and it was a group of community leaders. And then all of those folks had different gifts. So that started about 4 weeks ago, and within this last week, this went public. On Facebook, folks, you're going to find this as Citizens Advocating for Roadway Safety. It's called CARS.
Okay.
I do believe it's a closed group, but of course you can ask to be involved, and then you'll get approved and all that good
You'll
stuff.
jump right in.
So, what's going to happen? Well, what good is this going to do me? Well, originally it was thought to call it and let me tell you, folks, honestly, this is most likely, I can almost assure you, this is going to start within our service roads. Crossovers on 287 are already going away this year, except for about 3 on the far end.
The crossroads,
Yes,
right.
crossovers, because we're having a fatality or more a month on 287. So,
Hold on.
Wait, what
You
stretch
just
of 287?
Hold on. You just kind of breezed over that. So I want you to say that again real slow for the people who are just kind of checking
we are
out.
having minimally a fatality a month just in our zone.
A dead person every
Yes,
month.
Yeah.
every month on
It's-
287, sometimes more.
Okay, what is our zone?
Well, I'm talking Sardis all the way to Mansfield.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
And
it is a
definitely
stretch,
this
but
region,
yeah, I mean, yeah.
definitely this region right here.
Yeah.
Which
I'm not trying to minimize. I'm just trying to put it in perspective.
From Country Club down to the airport.
when you go
Okay,
to
from George Strait
Midlothian
to-
Parkway,
yeah, from George Strait down to Midway Airport. Yeah.
when you go from Midlothian Parkway all the way down to Whataburger on the highway,
The good Whataburger.
that is your most dangerous zone, probably on 287, because you've got all those trucks that are. We got to make a little adjustment here, folks. He says we're good. Do you want me up closer on this? I do. Okay, well, just say, hey, get up on that, and I'll do it. So, man, these guys are so nice. Anyway, they used to getting hit over the head with a fly swatter or something. So,
I just want you to sound good.
We'll remember that for next time.
I feel like I sound better. I feel like singing something. But anyway, so
That'll be the next episode.
Your voice is so magical.
I feel
is.
like I could be a broadcaster all the time.
Okay, dead people, cars.
So let's get back to the subject matter. That's what I like about coming here. We fill it in, the bad part to the good part, and so forth. So anyway.
I try to do something behind the scenes, and everybody just stops.
Yep. He's a great guy, though, folks. You don't really see
He is the
work
most
he does.
professional
He
among
is
us.
very professional.
Yep.
I'm going to get his autograph when I leave here.
Oh, on your hat.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
There you go.
By the way, folks, if I mentioned they have a store here and online, you can buy these hats. These folks know how to buy good hats. So if you want a hat, that's where it's at. Anyway, let's get back to cars. So we got a group going. There's about 12 committee members, and then there's some side liaison folks. Some folks on from school board side, some folks from city side. I want to stress this is not a political group or a political committee, but man, the diversity that they have involved in this group of leadership is just mind-boggling.
And this is good because it is all too quick that a lot of things, especially on social media, get divisive
And politicized.
and people eating their own, so to speak.
You know, there's only 58 members on this group on Facebook.
Well,
It was
it's
just
going to
started.
change.
It's
literally
literally
only
2 days
old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
going to change when it gets shared
It will
in a few
be.
minutes.
Once we get rolling. So what's really great about this, we've got folks that are involved in engineering companies that actually help other cities advocate and get their projects bumped up within the state. We've got local people who have been involved with COG and got 360 done.
Wait, what's
involved-
COG?
Oh man, you had to ask me that. It's basically your roadway, state roadway infrastructure side.
Okay.
Somebody will probably correct me on that, but that's what I'm pretty sure I'm correct.
Okay.
So we got folks involved with that. We've got folks that know our state reps and so forth well. We've got folks that are involved locally. In other words, we have folks that are involved in engineering, COG, state level, local, county, state level, lobbying side, so that we can move this thing forward. Now you may say, well, that's great. We do need those service roads, but I'm out here on 663. And you've been talking about all this potential mud stuff going on. What are you going to do about that? That's why it's called CARS now, Citizens Advocating for Roadway Safety. 663 and 875, and to a point 1387, which is fixing to happen, is
Well,
also
yeah.
a part of that within an oversight realm.
Right.
So, yes, folks, all of our major corridors, for those who are watching that don't know, 663, 875, 1387.
Anything with a
Highway,
number.
They're all
No, not 14th.
They're all state.
Okay.
But
Well,
they're-
it's considered a major thoroughfare on the thoroughfare
but
map.
14th is not a state
Right.
controlled
That's true. That's what I was-
thoroughfare.
that's what I
It's
was-
not an FM.
It's,
yeah.
it's the issue.
That's what I
Or a
was
state
pointing
road,
out to
yeah.
Tim, not to you. You have it.
Okay, no, I knew you would have slapped me or something. But anyway, so folks, there is some relief coming. The city leadership, I'm not going to say that. Yes, city council was involved somewhat on pushing this forward, but there's a lot of pivotal city leaders that have heard you. Is this going to happen overnight and in 6 months? Oh, the highway's done, and look, they're working. It won't work that way. But whatever is accomplished will happen 10 times faster than it would have.
We're talking about 2020 potential.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 2028 is when
Yeah.
it starts, as opposed to when they just start thinking about it.
Well, and I think that's a good way of looking at it. If we are going to be working on finding the funding, and part of that could be from the city, part of that could be from the county, part of that could be a little something from the state
Uncle
to get
Elon.
some of those studies
Our
done.
father Elon of Tesla.
Hey, so are they
that's
talking
a great
about?
idea.
Are they back to the mud dealer? Are they talking about this tonight at the city council?
It is, yes. It
tonight,
is on
right?
the.
Well,
there was a,
Justin put forward a.
Yeah, I'm just reading
I'm
his-
glad you said that because I want to cover that real quick.
Yeah, I'm reading his.
I don't want to take away from what the city's doing, and I'm going to tell you what the city's doing. The county has kind of led the way, but Red Oak, Waxahachie, Midlothian, and there's other cities coming on board, and what they're doing is they're creating these resolutions against MUDs. I think this is a wonderful idea.
It's a step, and
a
it's the quickest thing
It's a
that they can
statement.
do. Yeah.
It's a statement. But let me let you know something, Ellis County folks. The resolution is a statement.
Right.
It is a sign of inclusion that we are in agreement. We don't like this.
Yeah, it's
Is
telling
the-
people how we feel.
Is the resolution a binding
It's
statement?
not an
No,
action.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not an action. It's a good thing, but this means, folks, even though they're making a resolution at all levels, you still got to call. And that's what's
Right.
really going to get the job done is people bombarding these folks with calls.
Yeah.
So I hope,
Now,
I'm glad you brought
some
that
of
up.
them are in progress, and some of them are on the table.
Exactly.
I was reading Lisa Healy's initial post here, and she said that we could. Well, let me get back to it. We created this group. There are currently 4 MUDs in different phases. Some we will be able to act against. Others are already under construction. So, is there a possibility of stopping some of these or just controlling them?
I want to stress to you.
Can you stop them or
been-
just control them?
I've been in on these conversations. There is one way and only one way to for sure control them, and that is through the state legislature. And I'm going to tell you why. Yes, we can use these other formats on protesting to TCEQ, protesting to local water districts that we don't want them to serve it. But in reality, they do not have to bow to our demands, especially TCEQ, because TCEQ
Right.
is given its guidance authority through the state
And funding.
and funding. And if the state changes the rules, then TCEQ, like if the state says no TCEQ, we're taking
The state has the leash.
The state has the leash to give it to the county to,
Yeah.
to take away or whatever. So how are we going to get the TCEQ rules changed? You folks are going to make phone calls off of that list that is on no mudslinging Midlothian, and you're not going to start at the top, but you're going to work your way down through the bottom, or we're not going to be successful. And we got about 2 weeks to get this done.
well,
Well, it needs to be figured out. Reef Holdings is about a $5 billion
Yeah.
holding.
Yeah.
Just FYI. You said
Yeah.
big money. I'm just.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
big
In search of the money.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the one that wrote the check for Highview. Yeah.
And-
So yeah, well, I mean, so you were saying TCEQ and all. That's our last step. That's when all the other stuff. Take out the head.
Right.
And
exactly.
the rest falls.
If we lose on the legislative level, we're not going to stop. We're then going to keep going at TCQ and local water districts, just letting them know at least we don't like this.
Yeah.
But our biggest hope lies in a 2-week window, and for us to be lazy and not
That
call
we're 2
us-
days into.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean that the legislative session will end at the end of May, but we've got to be active right now.
Yeah.
So that's
Well, and it's 2 business weeks. So to let you know, that's 10 days. You only have 8 of them left.
if we can push hard enough. There have been times that legislation has gone into extended session, and that's all we know what we can hopefully hope for.
Well, I know we don't want that. Right, we want that as our second chance.
Right,
our
right.
first chance, we want it to happen before
want it-
we get
yes,
there.
Oh yeah, or something.
Yeah, it was something to happen
Yeah.
before we get to special session. That's the word.
And for you folks that check into this, you could say, well, you know, I read up on this a little bit, and there's already a couple of these or 3 of these that look like they're well on their way. But, you know, my grandfather always had a saying. He always said 50% of something's better than 100% of nothing.
Yeah.
And if we all just keep sitting around, we're going to get inundated by these deals.
Yeah, if you can't control, the way this is done, 8,500 homes up there, roughly 20,000 new people, 20,000 new voters. Mike, you guys are done.
No, well, wait a minute. They'll be in the
it's not quite
count.
like
They'll be
that,
in.
yeah.
Well, but you got a
In the
point
count.
there.
They're in the
Yeah,
count.
that's
Just
what I'm
like you,
saying.
Rob.
Yeah.
Just like you.
Yeah.
Can't vote for city
Well,
council.
now
Yeah.
let's hold up a minute. You just said just like Rob.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Rob's got a nice
I mean,
house.
let's back off of that a little bit. Nobody's
And
like
nice
Rob.
colors.
That's true.
Baller
That's
house.
true.
Well, look at these beautiful glasses.
He's a great guy.
Those are the prism lenses? Yes?
I don't know.
Is your pool heated, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Is
not
it
not at
going?
not at this moment.
That's,
All right. Well,
Seems like a
turn that
waste.
on. We're coming over soon.
Hey, my hot tub's ready. I just changed the water today.
All right.
well, I don't need to get in it then because I stink.
But I guess you're right. I guess you're right. You got a point. It is county. It is county. But okay. Let me go one
There's
step
still
further.
county positions. There's
Let's
still-
talk
yeah.
about. Let's talk about what's one of the big focuses of why people say they moved to Midlothian. Just this past week, we had
Schools.
both school board. The Tammy
Let me
Toby,
add
the
to that.
president.
You got a good
So
point. I'm
now
gonna
you've
tell you
got
why.
20,000 new people that don't care, that bought just cheap homes. Here we go. Now
Maybe not. But what school district are they in?
MISD.
You
Let-
got
let
it.
me tell
Yeah.
you.
Nailed
So,
it.
Yeah.
as a very
your
early
control and the schools are done. And let me tell
Yeah.
you, if the schools go to hell, the
So-
town's falling right behind it.
So
then that means
some of the-
everybody in the city's property tax
some of
property
the
values
people,
fall.
yeah, some of the people here in
city property taxes will likely go up.
Well, no, no, talk about taxes. It said values. I stumbled.
But
I
the
stumbled.
taxes will go up from
Yeah.
the upkeep of the drain on the infrastructure.
some of the people here
coming
in this,
through.
Yeah, some of the people here in the city graduated from Duncanville High School, like I did. Okay,
was like-
in the early '90s.
DeSoto,
All right?
DeSoto,
But
yeah.
they know exactly what happens. If you look at Duncanville, you'll see Clark Road on the west side of it. Across the street is Dallas City.
Yes.
It's a neighborhood called the
Woods,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. And so in the late '80s, early '90s, the state made the Duncanville School District incorporate the Woods, and then that's when people would say that the Duncanville schools started going downhill.
And winning championships.
Well, yeah, when I was there, I graduated in '92, and we had the number 2 band in the country, seriously, and our football team was not good.
Well, your debate team, I'm telling you right now, was amazing.
Yeah.
Because that was our number one competitor.
Hey, not
You're
to
welcome.
get sidetracked, but I did. I was talking to a buddy, actually my brother-in-law.
By the way, we took you 2-1.
Hey, DeSoto's ISD's literally under investigation because of they're about to be taken over by, I think, TVA or
Just
something.
like Houston.
Hey, check this out. They're going to have to give multiple titles back.
Oh wow.
Girls basketball,
Wow.
Who's this?
DeSoto.
DeSoto.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah, like their girls basketball won the
Was
state
it-
championship last.
Wasn't there like superintendent? Like didn't they just have like a big superintendent?
They almost
kerfuffle?
went, like they went bankrupt, but
Yeah.
or something. Anyways, but that's besides the
Kerfuffle.
point. Anyways, call these numbers that Mike listed. Otherwise,
Start
you
with
know,
the
they're gonna
committee.
in 10,
Work your
15
way
years
out.
they're going to be talking about
Yep.
Midlothian
Yep.
this way. I'm
Yep.
telling you. I'm telling you.
This is serious. We need y'all's help.
Okay,
no
cars.
mudslinging Midlothian.
But when you get back to cars, citizens advocating for roadway safety.
Yep.
A death a week. You said right?
We know a month.
A month,
But
okay, I'm
there
sorry.
are more than one a month. At
Okay,
times.
we're averaging because that's the way
well,
averages work.
and it's
Sometimes
going to
more,
go.
sometimes
I
It's
will
going to
say-
go up because you have that brand new neighborhood going in right there.
At
I was
Walnut
waiting
Gre-
for this to
Gre-
come
Grove.
from you because we've talked about this.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
I'm
Behind the
glad
good
you brought
Whataburger.
that up because
we not only have the
Yes.
neighborhood down here by Whataburger, but we have one on the north end.
Yes.
Just past Love's,
Oh,
with
Reading.
the Wilcoxons sold
Oh.
their farm, and then right
not
there
talking about you're not
off of Old Fort Worth Highway, and they're gonna feed that right on to.
Old Fort Worth Highway is not Midlothian. It's Midlothian ETJ.
Okay.
Yes.
I know. what
But
you're
it's
saying.
like there's no thought that goes into this, and they
No.
don't care about
Well,
people's
and-
lives.
yeah,
They're
but
just
look-
going to filter in 3,000 homes,
Yeah.
which is going to be 2 cars per home, so 6,000 cars every morning, if not more, onto that road.
I've literally got in the car and drove down the road with John as he's mapped the crime scenes, the future crime scenes that will happen. Not
I have,
crime
yeah.
scenes, but
high crime
accident
areas.
scenes.
Okay.
Not crime scenes.
The reason-
I totally screwed that up. Accident scenes.
The reason why I am so passionate about this part of it is because my aunt was killed when 360 opened up to 287.
Okay.
There was no light there. It was just you,
That's a long
you
time
sat there at a stoplight and went across. My aunt was broadsided by a lady who was drunk. and
Yeah.
she was going way fast, and she was killed right there at that intersection. So now there's a light. The light kind of helped, but people still died.
Yeah.
So now we have this wonderful bypass, which I believe the accident rate has gone down tremendously.
So,
But
Sean, my husband, when he was in high school, his first car was completely totaled because he was hit on 287. He had Grand Prairie, Midlothian, and I think the county trying to fight over who was supposed to take action on the situation. But yeah, same thing. He lived out past the city though, so he was like
Just
between
so-
316 here.
Just so folks know, to answer a couple of questions very quickly on podcasts that have been asked in the last few weeks, I do watch them. Is the entry onto Highway 287 down there for what's going to be Diamond J Ranch? That's approved by TxDOT.
yes,
And let me make sure the folks understand something else, that subdivision, and we won't go into this because we could eat up a whole nother hour. That subdivision was what came about from a lawsuit that went all the way to the Texas Supreme Court, which
Yeah.
was about water and sewer rights. But it happened, and the Texas Supreme Court dictated back to the city of Midlothian, this subdivision will happen, and here's the density rates you will provide. And then that commenced this long ongoing, probably, man, I started hearing about that back in 07 on P&Z, and then on through 3 council terms. So that's been going on a long time. And, folks will be wondering, well, what about Walnut Grove Road? When's that going to happen? Well, that's linked in with that development on them getting so far, because part of their infrastructure costs are part of Walnut Grove Road, which I believe will kick off a lot of the balance of that for concrete and whatnot.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to Justin about this. I wonder what our friends on the city council, how I'm pretty sure. I mean, like, we're all friends with most of them here.
Now you are.
Yeah,
You know everybody now.
but Tiffany, what have you?
On
As
Walnut
far
Grove?
as far as our city council goes with all the with. I'm sorry, I can't get this mud thing out of my head. I'm off
I
topic.
told you. Did I tell you?
Yeah.
I knew Rob was going to be all in once we got in.
Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong.
He knew nothing about it
I'll
when we-
figure out.
when we
I'll
sat
figure
down.
out the roads. Well, I'll tell you exactly
The roads
here
are
in a
good.
minute.
Yeah.
When we sign off, why I'm
Yeah, you're like,
So-
what's
interested in
going
it.
on?
But
What are you
okay,
asking me
my
about?
question was, you guys. Tonight's the first night. The first I've heard about the mud issue. I mean, you guys, Tim, Mike, Tiffany, have you guys, John, maybe you have. Has anybody talked to
this is the first I heard of it.
the city council?
Yeah,
haven't-
let me
we're-
cover that real quick.
I've been
Yeah.
watching it blossom.
Okay,
and
let
that's
me
it.
let me cover that. So
Is everybody concerned?
Well, I mean,
Now I am.
yeah,
Judge
of course.
Little is
Let me
too.
say that there was at least a comment on one of the posts that I made that said, well, you've been involved on P&Z, and you were on council, so you know about this. So here's the problem. Our city has been dealing with this with legal for several years. We've known about the problem.
Yeah.
And now that the state legislature's just gone in, I think our city's come to a point to
How long
say,
ago did they buy this property?
oh, at least
Oh, you were on council, I remember.
Yeah.
But so it was.
So
more
3+
than-
years ago.
More
Oh,
than 3,
yeah,
less
it's
than
been-
6.
So
more than 3, less than
Reef
6.
I would say
Holdings,
4 or
Reef
5
Holdings
years.
bought
Yeah.
this 4 or 5 years ago. And at that point, everybody knew exactly what was coming down the pipe.
No.
No.
And we're
That
waiting.
didn't.
We're waiting 8 days.
No, the mud just came into prospect.
Okay.
Like
And there were
within the
several
last year
people-
or so.
So originally,
Because
the impression
originally-
was it's just another.
Oh, it's get, well,
Well,
no,
builder-
we can't go
no.
into a lot of this because can't go into that, but because it's still ongoing.
Yeah.
Well, originally
there's
it was supposed to
stuff
be like
that
a
can't
mini-
be talked about.
Well, okay. Can I talk about what I could? what I saw as-
whatever you know publicly. I mean.
publicly, because he's got some executive stuff that he cannot speak about.
I understand that. I
But-
know the laws.
So
There.
But what I remember witnessing was that it was supposed to be this grandiose, amazing thing with
park,
with
right?
almost
Yeah.
a theme park in the middle of it. Yes.
Well, if you
And
look
it
at
was-
the picture, there's a lake there, and it looks like
Yeah.
you're on the
Yes.
coast or something.
that
there
was
was-
what,
yeah.
and there were no apartments. There was no talk of apartments.
Well, because they were building bigger lots.
Yes, that's what
then.
something. This big
See, it
grandiose
was going to be
thing.
1 to 4 acre tracts.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there was going to be this middle,
Yeah.
like I don't want. It's not like a rotate. It had this like
mean,
like
I've
it
pulled
looked like
I've seen the
community
picture.
park, but like the
Yeah.
center of it looked like community park, and like fountains. What are those?
Yeah.
Like
Looks
the
like
water things that kids
Margaritaville.
get? Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. That.
Yeah.
Yep. I got
Yeah.
I sent him that.
Yeah.
That's the
I
article.
remember seeing that.
Well, that's the Reef Hold. It's directly from Reef Holdings.
So the Highview Ranch was originally purchased by a developer that declared bankruptcy, and Reef Holdings purchased it from them.
Yeah.
Except they've literally got a lake out here with
They
boats and.
yeah, I don't remember the name of the boat.
Well, the lake's not
that
there
outbid
yet,
me
but
on
that's the
on
Wow.
Highview.
So Rob definitely gets it now.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in. So this has been great. I thank y'all so much.
Well, we always enjoy having you on here, Mike.
It's been a blessing.
Yeah, we enjoy learning new things about what's going on around us. It helps my favorite thing, which is being informed, right? So, Mike, once again, thank you. Rob, thank you for showing up at the last minute, willing to be here with us as we all learn. And he's over there on his phone.
I'm telling you, he's just
He's like
texting
taking the
people.
deep dive in.
He's getting a whole nother group together
Yeah,
at this moment.
He's already started working.
He's serious. I mean, he can't even
started
hardly
working
talk.
it,
No,
yeah.
so I mean, I guess the most important thing that everybody needs to do right now is first you gotta stay connected. So go to No Mudslinging Midlothian's Facebook page, just join it, and then hit the blue invite button and just send it to everybody in your friends list that lives in Ellis County. I mean, not even
Texas.
Midlothian.
This isn't about cities. This
Yeah.
is about the whole county.
the whole county.
And if you're sitting out there in the county,
It's about the whole state, but we care about our county.
I've gotten several posts where people will be like living in the county and go, well, I guess you're learning your lesson now, aren't you, city? You're trying to protect everything and say way you want it, and here you got it. Well, it's not going to be that easy, folks. This is going to affect county residents as much or more than city residents.
Yeah, this is an urgent matter. Everybody needs to treat this with a sense of urgency. You OGs need to they need to band together like
this
they have
is right
against
up your
everything
alley.
else and get it done.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I want to make a point here. We were talking about two separate groups. One is political only because they're lobbying political representatives.
Yeah.
And I'm not
call
gonna-
it. Yeah, it's
I'm
not
not gonna.
political.
I'm not trying to
It's
say
not
that it's
political.
It's not polarized political.
No.
But it's
People will still eat their own.
people will still eat their own. The other one is an interest group that is the CARS, Citizens Advocating
I
for.
got it backwards then. I apologize.
Yes,
I thought you were saying vice versa.
no,
you're right.
no
The political
mudslinging
group is the
the no
muds.
mudslinging.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
got
no
you. You're good.
mudslinging is the political group
Yeah,
because they're lobbying political people to do political things.
Gotcha.
Whereas the Citizens Advocating for Roadway Safety is a nonpartisan, non-political interest group putting pressure on state organizations.
Yeah, it's an organizational system.
And I'm
So
not
we-
going to name any names, but I'm going through my Facebook inviting people. There's some very influential people in Midlothian and or Ellis County who are not on this page.
It doesn't have to be
I'll
just
say
Ellis
Justin's
County.
already on the page,
It doesn't
but-
have to. Yeah,
I'm
doesn't
not
have-
talking about Justin.
It doesn't have to be Ellis County though, because those committees are composed of people from all around the state.
Yeah.
There were R's and D's
That's
there.
the problem.
Yep. There were R's and D's there in that committee, and that's where everybody needs
Exactly.
to start.
The committees are the real ticket because they're the ones that are going to be discussing the outcome of this, and they're most
Good.
of those, if not all, are not even part of your county.
Good bills live and die in committee, and if it dies in committee, it won't see the light of day for any other discussion.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys.
We appreciate you coming in.
Mike, it's
I
always
loved it.
great to have you in here.
Man,
you
it's
pump
great
me
to
up.
be here. Y'all pump me up. I mean,
But
golly. Tiffany. I mean, we're like brother and
Sometime-
sister.
well, I take
I've
it
said
back.
that before.
sometimes
we
you
have different colored hair,
Sometimes you
but-
pump me up, and sometimes you fire me up. I might be a little fired up
Whatever
right
it
now,
takes,
but
brother.
let's get out there. Let's get on this page.
Let's get
80
going.
members. 80 members. When I get back here Thursday, I want to see 1,000 members on
That's
this
right.
page,
That's
Midlothian.
right.
Oh, and we're opening. So I'm gonna challenge you right now that we're opening the show on Thursday with the number of people. It was 80 what?
It was 53.
It's 80 even.
80
Oh,
even.
okay.
That's
Wow.
easy.
That would
80
be
even
great.
now, and
That's
then
a
on
great
Thursday,
idea.
what
Yeah.
is it? When we start the show, I don't want to forget about it. I want to do it right at the beginning.
We'll do it.
Put it in the show notes.
We'll do it. Anyways, guys, have a good week. This is Tuesday night. You guys will be watching this Wednesday morning on your way to work, hump day. Wednesday, Friends Day. If you know where that's at, we'll see you there.
Yep.
Bye,
Ciao.
Midlothian. We love you.
Peace
Thank you,
out.
Mike.
Peace
Bye.
out.
We're out.